kind of are all over the place with the time periods they cover. And I originally used to be pretty much a World War II gamer, and then I kind of spread out and started going a little further back with World War One, Civil War. But it's kind of fun to explore, other time periods. So certainly, it's always good to hear, you got different different periods to pick from.
So I went ahead and clicked the live button so that because people are expecting us at 2, so I went ahead and clicked that.
Hi guys, Michael here. It just joined.
Oh yeah.
Hey.
Yeah,
hello, Michael. Welcome back.
Michael, the server is WED, and the password is WED, as in White Eagle Defiant. So.
Okay, checking. Yes, I see it.
So why don't you join in that way? You can play Chester, and then Dave and I will referee. That would be a great idea. I love it. So I got Mike. Okay. I got Michael in. Dave, are you going to join us in here?
I'm coming. You know that this is nothing fast for me. So you guys,
well, while we're doing that, while we're doing that,
go ahead.
So this is White Eagle Defiant. This is our Dave and Shaw, and I'm Ryan Heilman.
Hello.
And this is our second game. Our first game was Brave Little Belgium, which was released by Hollandspiel in 2019. And then this one was released in the fall of 2020. And we'd like to say that if you have played Brave Little Belgium before, and that is like your first war game, then this might be your second war game. So that's kind of how we look at it. The concept of the game is Poland 1939, so the German and Soviet invasion in 1939. And one side obviously is going to play the Polish, and the other side is going to play the Germans and the Soviets as they do invade. Like I said, it is similar to Brave Little Belgium, but there are definitely some differences as well. Michael, who is here with us all the way from Poland, he knows the game very well, and he has contributed some scenarios for the game, variant scenarios, which are not in the TTS, but they are in the Vassal version. What did you submit? 6?
Okay, so I submitted actually 4 scenarios.
Four
One
scenarios.
is about a little better setup of Polish forces at the beginning, so prepare defense. The other one is a tricky, where actually Hitler was waiting for Stalin to attack. So these are the Soviets who are attacking, and the entry conditions for Germans are the same as in the regular game for the Soviets.
Mm-hmm.
The third one was actually there was a discussion in 1939 about Soviet Western alliance, and let's say that it actually come true. So you have actually Russians stationed in the eastern part of Poland. They are not taking part in the game, but they are occupying some cities and taking points from Polish forces. So it's more or less, let's say, historical. And the last but not least, completely new thing, let's say it's October 1939. Poland is divided, but well, one side is deciding to attack the other. Actually, this is the Stalin who is tricking the Hitler. So you have Germany versus Soviets also on this map. I really love this game because it's so suitable for any kind of modding and creating the scenario, so I could not resist. No problem.
So I need to figure out how to get those into TTS as well. I mean, we have them in Vassal, but not in TTS. And also joining us is Chester from Milwaukee, and he has the game, but he has just pushed around some of the counters, but hasn't really played it to any great depth. So we're going to do a little bit of demo, but try to get into the game as quickly as possible and do a lot of the playing of the game. This game is different from, like I said, similar but different from Brave Little Belgium. Brave Little Belgium and this game are both what we like to call David and Goliath type games. In the Brave Little Belgium, of course, Belgium being the David and Germany being the Goliath. And this game, Poland is the David, and then the Germans are the Soviet, of course, the Goliath. It's also very much a game about one side doing a lot of offensive attacking and the other side trying to defend and trying to hold on to whatever territory they can. In Brave Little Belgium, it was really the key to the game was to destroy 2 major forts and then cross a victory line. This game is a little bit different in that this game is all about capturing victory cities. And if you take a look at the map, you'll see there's kind of 3 different types of cities on the map. There are cities that just have square boxes with black around them. That's just a normal city. And then there's ones that have red around them. Those are victory cities. And then there's ones that have little shaded boxes kind of hanging off of them. Those are fortified cities, or forts that some of them, I believe all of them are victory cities as well. I don't know if there's any fort that's not a victory city, but regardless, they...
I think you're correct. I don't think there are any.
Yeah, I don't think there are any. But regardless, those are ones that are going to have fortifications in them, and will have to... you'll have to defeat the troops there, and then you'll have to destroy the fortifications in order to then take that city. At the beginning of the game, we're going to consider Danzig already basically captured by the Germans. I didn't really want to get into the minutia of what was going on to Danzig. As I have suggested to many people, if you want to dive more into Danzig, go and get David Thompson's new game, the... I forget the name of it. It's Postal Soldiers and Postal... Soldiers in Postal Uniforms?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Okay, that's Soldiers in Postal Uniforms, something to that effect. It just got kickstarted recently, and that deals with some of the stuff in Danzig, and there's some other good games that deal with some of the naval stuff that was going on out there, as well as some other things. But we are going to just assume that it's conquered at that point. So at this point, you'll see that the German player already has 1 victory point, and victory points are expressed by those little orangish cubes. I mean, not cubes, but orangish little discs. And if you look at the very top of the screen, you'll see there's a victory track. And basically, anytime you capture a victory city, for most of the cities, you're just going to pull one of those off and put it on the city, except for Warsaw, where you'll pull 3 off and put those onto Warsaw, because Warsaw is, of course, a little bit more valuable. The goal of the game is, as the Germans, is to conquer, as I said, as many victory cities as possible. And if you ever get to an end of the turn and you have 12 victory cities, that's an instantaneous win. If not, then after turn 8, we start looking to see whether it's a victory or not for the Germans. So after turn 8, if the Germans have 9 victory cities, then it's a win. If after turn 9 they have 9 victory cities, then it's actually a draw. That's about the historical equivalent of what happened in the war. If it goes all the way to 10 and they have 9 victory, again, that's a draw. If the Polish can keep them from getting 9 victory all the way to the end of the game, then the Polish will win. There's a couple of things that can affect victory. If you look up in East Prussia, you'll see that there are 2 German forts, one at Königsberg and one at Lutzen. And if the Polish player is able to capture those and hold those, then the German would lose a victory point for each of those. In addition, if the Soviets ever come into the war, and we'll talk about how they come into the war in a little bit. If the Soviets ever come into the war, at that point the Germans have to start retreating back into the western part of Poland. There's a big white line that goes down in the middle of Poland, and that's the division line between the Soviets and the Germans. And if there are any German units on the eastern side of that line by the end of the game, that's a deduction. So that's -1 for each unit. So they got to make sure that they come back. So that's kind of the victory. There are some little unique things about the victory track as well. If you'll notice, all the way on the left-hand side of the victory track, it says Allied involvement possible. Yeah, you can see it. Thank you, Chester. That can come into play if, for some reason, by turn 3, the German player only has 1 victory point, which means they couldn't capture anything but Danzig, or even if they got another one, maybe the Polish took a fort or something, or 0 victory points, then the Allies on the Western Front look at it as, hey, the Polish are doing pretty well, maybe we should try to get more involved in this war, and they start opening up a larger front on the Western Front and start attacking the Germans, which caused the Germans to pull forces away from Poland to then use on the other front. And so then that comes into play here a little bit of an abstract way, in that the German player will have deductions then on their rolls. -1 if it's 1 victory point, and -2 at 0 victory points. That can go away. I mean, if you capture more victory points, then the French kind of back off a little bit, but it is something to keep in mind. The other thing that can happen is that the Soviets can come into the war. Now, the way we determine that is we look at turn 5. And if on turn 5 the Germans have 6 victory points or more, then at that point the Soviets kind of look at what's going on in their life and look at what, border wars they were dealing with in the east, and they say, oh, maybe it's time to get involved in Poland. And they come into Poland and start invading. Obviously, the Polish player doesn't want that to happen because you can see those huge stacks of the Soviets over on the right-hand side of the board. There are basically, 4 units in the game, okay? And we'll talk about each of those units. I'll try to show them to you. I'll use the 10th down here to show it to you. Okay, so all the way down here by nice on the left-hand side of the board. Okay, so the first unit you see there, that is an infantry unit. I'm just going to pull him off if I can. You can see there's another infantry unit there, just with the X. That right there is a light armor. Okay, you can see it has the NATO symbol of the tank, but it has that cross across it, so it's a light armor. And then this is a Panzer. Okay, so light armor, Panzer. You can tell it's a Panzer because it has the 2 red dice, and it doesn't have the line across it. Okay, I'm wrong. There's 5 types of units. So that's the typical German units. The 5th type of unit is the one the Polish have, which is a cavalry unit. And you can see that right there. Okay. So that's the cavalry unit. In addition to that, there are forts, like this one up here you can see. There's a fort. And forts are indicated by the kind of... is that
Pentagon.
Pentagon. I'm looking at this at a minute scale because I got to keep it zoomed out for YouTube, and I'm like, I think that's a pentagon. So it indicates that, and you can see there's 2 dice in there, which indicate how many dice are rolled and what those they hit on. All the forts are basically 2-sided, so all the forts roll 2 dice if they're at full strength, and 1 die if they're not in full strength. All the other units, for the most part, roll 1 die, except for the Panzers, and that's this one here in the red. They roll 2 dice, but not both of them hit. So if you get on either of the 2 dice, so say I take, I take 2 die, and I roll my 2 dice, and say I get, that roll, a 5 and a 3, that's considered 1 hit because I got 1 5. Now, say I roll again and I get that, perfect, a 6 and a 5. Well, both of those are above 4, but that's still only considered 1 hit. Now, if I happen to have rolled doubles, of either double 4, double 5, double 6, then you would get the 2 hits on that. So that's how those Panzers work. And that's a special ability that they have in all battles except in siege battles, because the tanks would be a lot less effective in a fortified type situation. In addition, you'll notice that the cavalry, like this one in Krakow, that also has a little bit of a special ability. Battles and hits taken in battles are simultaneous in this game. So basically the Polish roll, the Germans all roll, and all the hits occur at the same time, except for cavalry. If there is a full Polish cavalry in a battle, they get to roll, and if they hit, that hit is applied immediately before the Germans can roll. Okay? The gray over here is obviously all the Germans. The red all the way over on the other side is the Soviets. And the white in the middle is the Polish. And then we have one little Slovakian down here under Bernalac. Okay? Movement-wise, there, as I said, aren't a lot of movement restrictions, but there are a couple. These units right here, the AGS right outside of Nice, and the AGN up here, they have little dots next to them. That indicates that they do not move on the first turn. So they can't move until the second turn. Infantry can move 2. Everything else can move 4. The Bernalac unit down here in Slovakia can never move more than 2 points away from Slovakia. So you got to keep that in mind. And we already talked about the fact that the Soviets can't move past the line in the middle of the division line. And the Germans, once the Soviets come in, they have to move back over to the other side of the line. This is a chit pull game. Okay, so there is a bunch of chits that we're going to pull out of a bag up here. And the chits can be basically one of 3 different things. There can be an activation chit, and I'll pull out a couple chits just to show you. Here's an activation chit right here for German Army North, which indicates, you can see it's German by the eagle and the gray, and then green. You can activate your greens, which are your North ones. There can be special events like this one here, which is a Polish special event. And on the back of these, it tells you what the special event does. More special events. That one is a, looks like a Polish to me. Another Polish. These are not shuffled, I can tell. That's an activation for the Polish. Well, I know they're not shuffled because that's exactly what came out last night when I played. Another activation for the Polish. Another activation for the Polish. You can see they're all color-coded. There is a special event for the Germans. And there's another activation for the Germans. And an end turn. That's the last one I wanted to show you. There are, on each turn, there are 4 of these end turns. Once 4 of them come out, that ends the turn, and we move on to the next turn. Now, hopefully, as the Germans, you've gotten the ability to activate and move all of your units. If for some reason you did not get a chance to move all your units, you can still move your units, but for every army that you would move, like say for example you did not get the ability to activate the Army Group North, okay, so for that army, for that activation, you're going to have to make a roll on what we call the Blitzkrieg breakdown chart, which is over here on the left hand side. If you roll a 1, 2, 3, you're fine, nothing happens, you activate normally. If you roll a 4, 5, 6, you can still activate all those units, but they are going to move 1 less, and they're going to be -1 in combat because we're going to consider the fact that a tactical or logistical breakdown had occurred. And in addition, you'll move up 1 on the Blitzkrieg breakdown chart. If for any reason you ever hit 5 on the Blitzkrieg breakdown chart, that is a complete disaster. That means Blitzkrieg is completely broken down. It was a tactical, logistical nightmare, and Hitler's really pissed. Okay? So you better go running for your life, basically. So that's kind of the deal with that. What else? Did I miss anything, Michael or Dave, for right now? Oh, recovery. Recovery.
Pretty complete. And
recovery.
we will cover
Yeah, recovery. So as you start getting hits and you start getting reduced forces and you're flipping over your forces, there might come a time where you might want to make some sort of recovery to those forces. And there is limited recovery in this game in that when you pull a chit, like say you pulled the Army Group North chit and say one of the units was flipped, you can choose to recover 1 unit. And you just grab this little recovery marker here and you bring it over to your side of the board and just like flip it over to note that it doesn't really matter what side it's on, but just somehow note that you did do a recovery so that you don't do it again. If you do recover with a unit, just that unit can't move or attack during that activation. All the rest of them can, though. Okay? What else did you say I missed? I think we might have almost enough to get started. Oh, no. This is really crucial. Stacking. So the stacking for this game is a little unique in that you can always stack up to 2 infantry together, but after that you can only stack 1 of then each type of unit. So for example, if I was the Germans down here and I wanted to bring forces over here, I could bring 2 infantry over, I could bring a light armor because that's a unique unit. I could bring a panzer, but I could not bring another panzer or another light armor or another infantry into there. Okay, I would be maxed out with my stacking, and I could bring that into an attack or something. Now, there is one way to violate stacking, and that is, say I have some forces coming this way and then I have some other forces coming down this way towards Katowice. I could designate one force as primary and then bring in another force and designate it as support. All the primary and the support units will get to participate in the battle, which is fantastic. It's just that the primary unit is the first units to take any hits. If all the primary are eliminated, then the support will take hits. And the primary units are the only ones that can take the spot or the point once it's won. The support have to move back to wherever they came from. Okay, but you're going to want to remember that because it's often crucial to try to pin in and take over certain spots, and try to do so with just one little portion of the army is sometimes difficult. So Army Group North moves first in the game. So the Germans would move first. That's all the green stuff at the top. So do we have a idea of who's playing what? Do you want to play?
Fine.
Do you want to play? Do you want to?
Since I'm new, I don't want to play something that's going to slow things down. I don't care about winning or losing. I just want to win the game and whatnot, but I also want to be hopeful in terms of winning the game.
Oh, well, I think that you should be the Germans.
Exactly. Yeah. I can be Polish, and you would get much more fun from playing the Germans, and you will learn all the mechanics that way. I think that's.
I feel like we're stereotyping here a little bit, but you know.
We shall see. We shall see. I like playing Polish because it's
how often can we have an actual citizen of playing a Polish player? I think it's actually very, very fantastic.
Where are you on this map anyway?
Okay, I'm actually in Warsaw. I'm
easy enough.
Warsaw.
Easy enough.
Yeah.
Easy enough. Yes.
Exactly, but I'm actually from Lublin. It's
Okay.
also a victory city, you
Yep.
know. So both of both cities, yeah.
Cool. By the way, this little TTS module also has this little roller thing over here. We tried it last night. Some people liked it, some people didn't. You place 2 dice on here, and then when you click it, it rolls them. But it doesn't look like it rolls them because it doesn't really do much. But it actually is rolling them. If you don't want to do that and you just want to take them and do the R button to roll, that is also completely fine.
I want my dice to actually roll,
They look like they just flip, but they actually are technically rolling.
Whatever you guys are comfortable with.
Okay, so Dave, you take over and start directing, my friend.
Okay.
Let
So,
Chester know what to do.
Obviously, Chester as the German player. This is something that only happens on the first turn. You already have a, quote, pulled chit, which is Army Group North. So basically, any of your forces up here in the north that have a green symbol, they can be activated now and taken into combat or moved or whatever you want to do with them. So basically, we're talking about. Oh, and yes, this.
The dot guy can't go.
Except,
yes,
the Army Group North, and basically what that simulates is that technically they were further back. But I didn't want to make a bigger map, so I actually put them onto that city right there, and then allow the people to move them after one turn.
They show up on the one turn too.
Yep. And so just again, infantry move 2 and everything else moves 4. And there is every black line is 1 movement, and then down in the south there are some kind of dotted lines. Those cost 2 movement points because that's going through the mountains there. So, but you won't deal with that right now. And you have to move into the spot to attack. I guess it's
into the spot.
Yep.
Yeah, combat's in. We can't say hex, I guess, in space.
Into the space, yes. That's an important point. I always forget to mention that.
Yeah, obviously there's it's point to point, so there's zone of control issues.
And I think putting this North Army as a first cheat is a very good idea. To some extent, you're still leaving, the randomness of cheat pool mechanics, but you at least start as it should start, yeah. So.
Well, and it seemed we did that kind of, I think, because there was occasionally times when we would pull it, before we had the rule in place, you pull a Polish first, and it was kind of like, well, wait a minute, It's just basically Germany's the aggressors, so they get the first crack.
I like it, yeah.
And we have a similar mechanic in Brave Little Belgium, in that the 4 cavalries that you know, they weren't they were sort of attached to each army. They kind of traveled in front of each army under sort of separate commands. So we have those 4 cavalry as activating first. So you can bring in those cavalries first, and then they activate again if that particular army is
before the
paused.
Germans had even declared war in World War I on Belgium, yeah, the cavalry was already roaming around the border area. So.
Yep.
Well, what if I move these guys up there and try to take that fort?
That's fine. You mean in Gdynia? Hell, yep, that's fine.
Yeah.
That
That's the thing.
That makes complete sense. And I mean, once you've taken it, once you've captured it, even if you don't stay there, but there's a victory point marker there, it's a victory point. He would have to actually go in and recapture it. Okay, so you don't have to leave units there or anything like that. That seems good to me.
Do you use those siege, let's say, rectangles now when you move into the hex with the fort, just to put your forces?
Oh yeah, right. Yeah, because technically the little shaded box next to the fort represents it's kind of what we would call the besieging space.
Oh, okay.
Since the fort is not yet taken, it's just
Easier to remember. There's a fort there.
yeah.
Right.
I'm gonna have to have the I didn't design this TTS, so as I'm watching, I'm taking some notes, and one of the things I'm gonna have him do is to adjust the points a little bit to so that they sit a little better instead of sitting on top. There was one chit that I found that was incorrect down in Warsaw down here, and I fixed it for this version, but I have to get him to fix it as well.
Okay.
Because down in Warsaw, you'll notice there is a chit here that is a tank that does not actually come into play until the second turn. So it's kind of blank, and then it comes in later on. And you don't have any of those as Germany, but he has some forces that won't come into play until the second and the fourth turn.
We are just being mobilized.
Yep.
Yeah, they were in the middle of their mobilization. Right?
Yeah, there's some forces that come down from the north down and join Carpaty, and then there's some forces that come into Warsaw, as well as in the Pinsk and all the way up in Vilno. And I'm sure I'm slaughtering all these city pronunciations, so Michael, just correct me.
No, you're actually doing quite good.
Michael's being very kind.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, then you talked about support before. Do
Yep.
you guys support an attack on a fort?
Sure.
So I can move this guy here, and he can help with however this.
Actually, yes.
Yeah, yeah, that's fine.
Perfectly legit.
And by the way, I think the cavalry and its special ability works only in attack of cavalry. Am I correct? Or also in the defense?
You're talking about against forts?
No. I'm talking about cavalry, Polish cavalry
Oh,
in general.
yes, sir. Is on the offensive. Yes. Sir.
Yes, so if you attack me in Mława, I would not have this benefit of cavalry.
Benefit for Polish cavalry. You're correct, Michael. Thank you.
Right. So
I think Michael knows the game better than I do. You want to start demoing it for me?
Brian and I were talking about this yesterday, Chester. When we're currently developing a new game that we've actually just sent out to hopefully a company that publish it. You kind of, especially now that this is our third one, the game rules start to kind of run together, and you have to think, wait a minute, now, is that from game A or game B? Or,
Exactly.
you have to kind of reverse your thought process back to this game.
Yeah, where did you see that about only on offense? Dave, did you actually see that in the rules?
Michael, I think, was just bringing that up as a point for Chester, that in attacking a Polish cavalry, that cavalry bonus does not apply. It's only one.
I'm not 100% sure, but I think it was in the rules. Yeah.
Because under combat, it simply states any Polish cavalry rolls first, and any hit scored is applied to the enemy before any further rolls from either side.
This is why we have
Yeah. I would, when you said that, I'm thinking, I don't think that's correct. I mean, that's a nice variant.
Might be wrong.
Yeah, that's a nice. I like that as a variant, though. You know.
True. Okay. Yeah, because the Panzers work the same way.
Mm-hmm.
I apologize. Well, see, that's what happens when you.
When you have three games with all different rules. You know?
I haven't. Yeah, we haven't played this one.
Yep, and we're not like Mark Herman, who can set up 20 different games and compete against all 20 and win 15 of them.
People, that's great. Yeah, that's the mark of a true designer. I'm not. I'm lucky if I can get my two daughters' names correct on any given day. So.
I think we have some pretty good battles here. What do you think?
Yeah, I think.
Chester, do you have a particular preference as which one we do first?
I mean, I guess it doesn't matter. I just like to see how the combat works.
Sure. Why don't we do the one without supporting first? Why don't we do Malawa?
Yeah, that's probably.
And if you want to drag them down to the battle board, or sometimes people drag them up into the Baltic as well. Either way is fine. But we're just going to drag them into either place, and those are going to be all primary forces. And I'm just going to take the combat token and pop it over into Malawa over here so we know where we came from, and go ahead and separate those out into some sort of semblance of an order, like all your 5s together, all your 6s together. I think it's just a 5 and 2 6s if I'm not mistaken, and he's got 2 5s. Is that correct?
Yes.
Yeah.
One of which is cavalry.
Yep. So you're going to make the first roll, Michael, there, because we're going to play it as the rule state, and
yes.
Let's see what happens. So he needs a 5 or better.
Use the roller. Okay.
And that was not a hit, so nothing happens there. Otherwise, you would have had to take a hit to one of your units. So now it's going to be Simon.
Die roller.
Yeah, I don't love that die roller.
I will not use it anymore.
I thought, did he really roll it?
He did.
Yeah, me too. I was surprised, but,
Yeah,
it rolled it.
It rolled to the exact same side. So go ahead and do another roll for your infantry there, Michael.
Okay, it's 5 odds.
Okay, so that's 2 misses. Okay, so now you have...
just to reiterate, in combat, it's 1 round for each combat, and hits are simultaneous. To Allenstein. Hacker wins. They advance into the space, and the defender. The defender stays in their space.
So, Dave, is it Allenstein or Allenstein?
Allenstein. Yeah, I don't know. I guess.
And then just thinking back to young Frankenstein. That's Frankenstein.
Yeah, I'm going with the traditional, but unfortunately, I don't. Even though I have Germanic in my background, I'm just.
Yeah, it's most probably Allenstein.
Yeah, I figured I'd err on the side of
You just made me think of that movie. That was all.
Yeah. Okay, so now we have.
Yeah, let's go ahead and do this next battle.
So that
Go.
is actually, yeah. So here we have a issue or an example of support. There's the 5/5.
Yeah, that's a stronger
Sorry, yeah.
Panzer there.
Sorry again.
So just take that one infantry and separate that out as a support unit someplace.
Yeah. He goes off. He's there, but he's
Yep.
not part of the main force.
He will be able to attack, but he'll have some differences depending on whether he wins or loses.
Right.
So, well, the fort has 2 5s, and then we have a Panzer with 2 5s, and then infantry with 2 5s, if I'm reading that right.
Actually, the Panzer
Oh,
will
yeah,
roll
yeah,
one
yeah, you're
die.
right. You're right. The Panzer's only going to roll 1 die because this is a fort. So that's a good example of a difference.
In forts, both Panzers and Polish cavalry lose their. Whoever wants to roll first.
I'll roll first. So I'll
Okay.
do the kind of go. I'll do the stuff on the left with the infantry first. The first one.
Sure.
That's a miss,
Is
right?
this? Yep.
Second one.
Oh, I hate it.
No, that's not
You know,
rolling.
change
You
it,
know,
Is that really
yeah,
rolling?
Get outside.
That did not look right because that was 3 hits and it just. I really am not trusting this die rolling.
Exactly.
Anyway, so the second one missed, and then we'll do the tank, right?
You can just take it off.
And here you would again roll 2 dice, right?
Hit. Let's hit.
So that's 1 hit.
Yeah.
Did you roll the support?
Not yet.
Mhm.
So
Now you roll. Yep, yes, sir. 1 more roll, and this has to be.
Oh, 2
Another
hits.
hit.
2
The fort
hits.
is gone, but
So
I will
2
roll
hits.
third. Yeah.
Who gets to roll?
For fort.
And 1 hit.
And 1 hit.
Uh,
So
so,
And I think
yep.
that is a victory space, so you get to pull one of your little orange.
exactly.
So the support's going to have to retreat back to Danzig.
right.
Okay, and then the other forces are going to stay there, but one of those has to take a hit.
Right.
So you flip it, right?
Yep, you got it.
Sir.
And so then return all of those to Gdynia, where you had the battle. Yep, right there. And I think that's it.
I
Good.
think that was a pretty successful first turn for the
Very good.
Army Group North.
Yeah, no, it's very good because that's going to avoid any ally involvement at this point. So that's really good to do. You want to try to
stay
grab.
ahead of that, absolutely.
Now, the only thing that I'm going to warn you about is the Germans is that come turn 2, the Polish, if they want, can leave Poland and attack elsewhere. And so those forts at Lutzen and Königsberg then become vulnerable. So you want to think about those as well as we're going on through the game. Okay? I think we need to pull a chit. Did we shuffle all the chits? Let me make sure they're shuffled.
You said, yeah, I think you should shuffle them multiple times.
I have shuffled them.
It sounded like you
Okay.
did,
So one of you go ahead and pull a chit and we'll see what comes next.
Okay.
The-
Go on.
yeah, there's a bag up there. Just pull it out of the bag. Ooh, where did it go? It went flying. Okay, so that's a Stuka, and that's a special event for the Germans. And
I
Combat
think
aid
we
for the
should
Germans.
flip it just.
yep,
so
you can flip it if you
everybody
want.
can see.
And that's a +1 to all German die rolls in one combat without any restrictions.
Yeah. If I may suggest, when I play the game, I'm usually putting the cheats flipped. Once you use it, you unflip it because you see what's there. I
Yep.
usually remember what's there, but you know the details.
And I'm actually gonna move this over so we know that we did use that.
Okay.
That way we have the events there and whatnot, and we'll know we used that. Okay, go ahead and pull another chip, because that's not going to do anything for us now until we have an activation of some sort. It doesn't matter who. Just drag one out and put it onto the pulled chits. I think, are you pressing a key to pull it out?
I just did draw.
Yeah, that will draw it to your hand like a card. So just
Oh.
drag it to the left, and that'll put it right onto the pulled chits.
Oh, just drag it.
Yep, there you go. Okay, so now we have a special event for the Polish. Is that the PZL P11?
Yep.
+1 to all Polish die rolls. That's exactly the same as the Stukas.
How do you rotate it?
You can right, yeah,
Ryan's, yeah,
you right click and rotate and right, and it will
Okay.
rotate. Why it rotates initially, I think it has something to do with me. It has something to do with my mouse. So I have on finger swipes on my Mac mouse, and that's causing it to rotate for me. I don't know why it's rotating for you. Do you have a Mac as well?
No,
Okay.
I have PC.
Okay.
Okay, fine. It can stay like this. It doesn't matter.
Yeah, that's fine. So go ahead and draw another chit. So we need to get some activations here. That
Okay,
is
very
a armor train. Is that right? So that's
Yes,
+1
exactly.
to all Polish die rolls and 1 defense, and that cannot be used in any boxes outside of Poland. So that would only be in Poland itself.
That's a great event. Yeah, that's really great.
Okay, so that's a German. Is that say? I can't even read that. The Zeppelin-Krieg.
+1,
Is that Blitz?
+1 to attack, no force, automatic advance. But with automatic advance, I think it's good to tell what advance is. And,
Yeah,
what
that's that.
conditions.
Yeah, that is crucial. So if for some reason you are involved in a battle, and that battle has you at a 3-to-1 advantage over the defender, then if you destroy the defender's units and you do not take any hits yourself, then you can advance 1 additional spot and participate in 1 additional battle. Okay? Now, that chit there, the Blitzkrieg chit, that you can use and you can ignore the 3-to-1 advantage. You still can't take any hits, and you still have to eliminate the defender completely, but you can ignore the 3-to-1, so you can have a 2-to-1 or something like that. Okay? So that's that chit right there, which again cannot be used in forts, though. Go ahead and draw another one. Oh, an activation. There we go.
Finally, yeah.
So this is going to be a southern activation for the Polish, and as I said, the only limitations here is that he can't move outside of Poland. You play like I do. I think I made the same moves earlier when I played last night.
Yeah, I prefer to be concentrated here. Usually,
Mm-hmm.
the infantry is not able to get to Krakow from
It's
here. Yeah,
it's a little harder.
It's too far.
Mm-hmm.
So it's better, especially with armored train, to have a very strong point in Katowice. But that's my strategy. Let's see if it works.
Yeah, and that's actually very anti-historical.
Yes, because historically was defend everything everywhere, which
Yep.
did not play well.
Yep.
unfortunately.
And they didn't really put up much of the defense there in Krakow. So
Mhm.
that's very interesting and a little bit ahistorical, but that's the point of the game. So that one is used. I'm just going to pull that one aside just so we know that it's used. And then go ahead and pull another one. Okay, so now we got the middle of the country. And I should tell you that there was no Army South, an Army Central, and Army North designated like this at all by the Polish. This is artificial in my part in the creation of the game, but it allowed me to provide then, because I didn't want to have one activation for all the Polish. I wanted to provide multiple ways to activate the
better.
Polish. So that it's a bit artificial, but I think it does simulate fairly well what was going on.
To be quite honest, I don't have too much to do with this activation this turn.
Yeah, this is always an interesting one because the big question is, do you try to keep Poznan or not, and or do you try to pull back on that because that ends up being pretty exposed,
Exactly.
And so that's the thing that I always debate when I'm doing the center is do I try to pull things back into Warsaw and into the Modlin and into that area? Do I try to take something and put in Lublin because that's a victory city? What do I do there? And he's playing a little bit ahistorically, which is fine, absolutely fine and cool.
Exactly. I'm just thinking. It's great. I will pull them back here to create a kind of a kill zone.
And that's cool. So that did leave a big open spot for you to get a victory point, but maybe not then
What
get
I'm
many.
doing, I'm just putting those 2 points as a difficult to attack, but we shall see. It's for fun.
Yep, it's all
Let
for
me do
fun.
something crazy.
And that's the nice thing about this game is that, you know, if there wasn't all this explanation by Dave and me, and you could just sit down and play, you know, it is only about an hour. Is that about what
it's quick?
Is that about what it takes for you, Michael? About an hour?
Exactly. Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
Braveville, Belgium's about 45 minutes. This one's about an hour, unless for some reason something crazy happens. And then the new game's about 45 minutes or so to an hour, roughly. So we got another end turn, so we're looking, there's going to be 2 more. Oop, another end turn. So this is going to be interesting. So if he drags out one more end turn, the Germans south have not had a chance to activate, and that's going to be then when you can consider doing a blitzkrieg and having to roll in the blitzkrieg breakdown chart.
Press your luck.
Yep, press your luck. We have some sort of pressure luck. There it is. So we have some sort of pressure luck in all of our games, and that's what we have here. So I'm going to pull out the, see what else we got in here. There it is. There's the southern one. So the big question, of course, is at this point, do you as the Germans want to activate the southern troops?
Now, Chester, just not to, you know, just to throw this your way. First of all, it is the first turn, so obviously you want to kind of get things moving.
Exactly.
And have 5 bad rolls before you lose the game. So I would, you know, just as a recommendation, I would say go for it, because you want to get things moving as fast as possible. But that's just my opinion. If you really don't want to risk any kind of, you know,
I'll
instant.
move. No, except I'm trying to figure this all out. So that's
Okay.
That's fine.
So you need to roll a die. Roll 1 die, and you're trying to get you're trying to get a 1, 2, or 3.
Yeah, we always forget what you want to roll and what you don't want to roll.
Well, that was a good roll. So you'll be able to activate this army with no consequences whatsoever.
You don't go up on the chart, so you're fine.
all right. So, and does this count this?
Yes, that
Yes, sir.
counts as well.
Yep. The Slovakians are. So that is.
So this is a victory point, yes.
And then
And again, same thing here. The dot, the army group south,
right, that guy can't move.
it will come in on turn 2. Yep, absolutely.
And you still do have these events here too.
Right.
Right.
And I could go 1, 2 here, right?
Mm-hmm. Go ahead and put it in the brown spot.
I'm sorry.
That's okay. And that one works a little better.
I like how you called it the brown spot, because I think it's gray, isn't it? But on this map, you're right. It looks bright. It looks brown. It's weird.
I'm colorblind, Dave. You know that.
Well, it might also be the poor resolution on my monitor. So
That will be a grand battle.
Yes, that's gonna be a big battle. The question is he bringing in anything else? Now you could do that, but those would not be able to participate as supporting. They have to come across a different route.
Oh, I see.
I mean, you could do that if you want to reinforce from there. That's fine, but yeah, go ahead.
They still have to move, so they can go there, but the Krakow is not within the reach of the infantry from the 14th, but the tanks can
The tanks
I
are-
was
actually.
just gonna say you could move your Panzer, the 14th.
1, 2,
Here,
yeah,
exactly.
1, 2, yeah. That Panzer could participate as a support unit.
Indeed.
Now,
Yep, that's not a bad
Good.
one. Hmm.
you both have pretty much all the event chits at your disposals.
Oh yeah, I want to use them.
Yep, I was gonna say, don't forget you got them.
Okay, so let's put the cheats somewhere, maybe here, yeah. just to see whom we have in this spot. Okay.
That's a big battle. Now,
That's a
what do you got there?
demonstration battle.
Let me see what you got there. 1, 2.
Okay, I put them here, down. For the ease of seeing who
Now-
is where.
Now, you actually are overstacked, Michael.
Yeah.
I don't know if you
I
noticed
have
that.
only 2 units.
You can only have, I mean, you can have up to 4 units per side. So,
You're
because
correct, so I
the
should have this guy in Krakow, yeah, still
that
standing.
that
yeah.
does
He will
impact
be-
some things. I didn't see it when you moved in.
Okay.
I do apologize.
He will be attacked by tanks and by Slovaks most probably and destroyed. So those guys only stay.
So that was not an
Katowice, yes?
instantaneous victory point on that side, and that means that Panzer will not be able to participate in a supporting capacity.
Right.
Yep.
Okay.
So that's right, because those 2 pips on the fort count as 2 units. So, and you can only have up to 4. So, I mean, he did have all the unique ones like he was supposed to, but because you can only have up to 4, that was
It's
why
still
that.
a hard stacking limit.
It is still a hard stacking of 4. So let's drag down the Germans in Katowice, and then we'll have that
Hey,
battle
It
first.
means you guys get to split your events up to into 2 battles instead of just 1.
Yep.
So they actually have to think, which battle do I use?
And you did that perfectly. You were not overstacked. You had 2 infantry, a light armor, and a panzer, and that was perfect. Although your panzer will lose its ability because it's attacking a fort.
Right. All right. Well,
Okay,
I'll
so-
use. Now, can I use both of these events?
You can use all, some, or none. So,
All right. Well, I want to go for broke on that fort, I guess.
Well, that's actually not true, Dave. So
oh, well, I meant-
in combat, each side can only use 1 event. You can't you cannot use multiple events. You can't use like Blitzkrieg and Stuka, and you only can use 1.
No, I apologize.
No, it's okay.
Not a big deal. So then, I'll just use the Stuka then.
Yeah, Blitzkrieg is not working on forts, so
Yes,
Right, so that would make more
it's
sense
not going to
for
make
my-
it. Yeah,
I will use armored trains, yeah.
in defense, that makes sense.
What did I do with the Stuka? Delete it?
In
Okay.
second battle, you will use it. What you did? Where is it?
What
Did-
I do with it?
Did you delete it?
Maybe I dropped it somewhere.
I don't see it. Hold on, I'll get it back. Okay, just give me a second.
Okay,
Okay,
sorry.
give me a second.
I don't know, I think it's kind of funny that even in a digital game you can still drop a chit.
Yeah.
That's what I did.
I lose counters all the time, so I think this feels.
I'm hoping I'm doing this right. Maybe I shouldn't worry about it right now. Go ahead and do this battle. We'll do it after this battle.
Okay, so let me just put armored trains to the side, yeah, for now. So please start, go ahead. It's like 4 dice each hits.
4
on
dice,
3.
and because Chester is using the Stuka, Eric, you will hit on a 3 or better.
Nice.
Yeah, that's true. It's a 50%. Actually, more than 50%. 3, 4,
Straight
5,
dice
6.
down.
It's like 60-some percent.
If I dropped it underneath the table.
I can get it back. I just want to make sure that before I do, I save everything, and that way, if for some reason I completely mess it up.
I found that Chester, if you look down where your name is, there is a. Yeah, there it is. It somehow got. Yep, it got.
Oh, there it is.
Nice. Okay. So I can only roll 1 for the armor, right?
Yeah,
Right. But with the
That.
bonus Stuka,
that's a miss.
That's a miss.
And I'll. If I hover over and hit R, that does it. Right?
Yes,
Yes, sir.
that's a miss.
This.
Then
This one.
infantry.
A hit.
There we go. There's a hit.
One hit.
And then the other infantry.
Second one. Yep.
Yep, hit.
Also a hit. So 2 hits total. Yep.
2 hits.
Okay, let me start with the fort. Oops.
Miss.
Oh,
That's yeah.
That's a hit.
there's a hit. Tanks,
Miss.
miss, and the
Nope.
infantry
Hit.
hit.
So 2 hits against 2 hits.
2 hits and 2 hits, so it's a draw. So
Take your losses. And then the Germans are going to have to retreat back out, which may impact some stacking issues that I see up there. And we'll deal with that when we get to it.
And
Okay.
Those guys would.
They're going to be displaced.
just, yeah, you
What do you have there?
basically-
2 infantry in that
Yeah.
spot? Yeah, they're going to be displaced back where they came from. Well, you can actually
Oh,
displace them either play.
Either way.
Either way. And, yep, that's fine. And then all the rest will go back in there. Yep. That's perfect. Okay, next battle. Yep, here, let me take those.
In Chester, here you could use Blitzkrieg because this is a non-fort space. So
Yep. So
And
that's what
I
we'll do.
will use the planes.
the Polish Air Force.
Yep. So I think I will be rolling, and you can also use the Slovaks to fight. Yeah.
Yes, the Slovakians can join in the fun.
So I will roll first and inflict losses first on 5 or 6. Rolling. Yeah, that's a hit. So you take the hit first because of the special ability.
Right. So,
And now, yeah.
So you can roll 2 dice,
right.
and again with the Blitzkrieg, it'll be a 3 or better, and that's more than enough. Yeah.
Yeah, because it's only one. Sorry, it's
One
only
step, yeah.
one step.
Yeah, that's probably one thing I do need to send out as a clarification, Dave and Michael.
So,
Because technically it says the all nationalities cannot stack together. You know what I'm saying? So technically it says that, which technically would mean that the Bernalac could not stack with the Germans. But since they were kind of under that command anyway, I'm not sure that that makes a lot of sense.
no, I thought that we were that rule was in place for the
Soviets,
Russians.
yes. Soviets and Germans, that makes complete sense. But the Bernalac does not make sense for that.
Yeah, definitely.
I don't recall that we ever kept the Slovakians.
Yeah,
separate.
I just think I might have to put a clarification down on a BGG forum or something. You know how that is.
Yeah.
Errata! Oh no, I got one errata.
Yeah.
That's not bad, I guess.
That's a clarification, not
Yeah.
a right.
Yeah,
Oh,
there you
that's what Dave always says. He's like, no, we don't have any errata. We just have clarifications.
tuning.
So we're actually going to move to the second turn. So beautiful first turn, and Michael's going to flip some of his units.
Yes, let me do it now.
He's got 2 units as he's going to flip in Warsaw.
Chester can actually move the 2. Do we do it now, or do we do it when they get activated?
What?
Which is how long since I played it. The
You-
2 units that were not activatable in the first turn in Army Group North and South.
Oh yeah, you can put them into the city if you want. That's fine.
Yeah, definitely.
And he's got a force down in it's down in the south of Karpaty, and then he's got one in Vilno as well.
Oh yes.
Mhm.
Will not do.
And the only one that's not going to get flipped right now is the one in Pinsk. Okay, so let me shuffle these because we've been having shuffling problems. But I have 15. That makes sense. I think we're good to go. So whenever you guys want, you can start drawing some new chip pool for the chits for the second turn.
Michael, why don't you pull them since I keep
Okay.
dropping them?
So armored train is the first.
You like that armored train?
Yeah, I really do. South Army first.
Maybe
Before
we,
I could do a recovery and so on in the south.
maybe we need to do a tactical battle just with armored trains, Dave. What do you think?
Hey, I'm all for it.
Should we do like a what's that train in that movie? Is that show? Is it Snowpiercer or whatever?
Yes, exactly.
I don't know if that one's armored, but I like that
always think of,
futuristic armored trains. What do you
Hey,
think?
now and of course I'm dating myself here, but I think of Dr. Zhivago.
Uh huh. Don't forget your AGN forces too.
Who?
AGS, Army Group South.
You can also move them and they can also attack, I think.
Well, they wouldn't be able to go that direction. And he already has a supporting group anyway.
Okay, only one.
You can't do two supporting groups.
Yeah.
But he could bring those in to basically block off any sort of retreat.
Well, what you're saying is I could do that.
Yeah, that's what I'm trying to say. That way he's completely pinned in there. The only place he can go
And
now.
You also have
You could have also taken him north and over to that other city to the north of Katowice as well.
I forget you also have the force up in Poznan. Not that you may want to really do anything with it at this point, but it is.
Oh yeah, he should probably just sit there. Okay.
Yeah.
Alright, well, let's just do this fight again and see what happens.
Sounds good to me.
Round 2.
And we have one. Are you using the armored trains for this one?
Yes.
Okay,
yes,
armored
yes.
trains coming back in. Okay.
Okay. So, Chester, go on with your attacks.
Alright, so I'll just start here and then
Yep.
top to bottom, left to right. So,
I mean, you could roll 2 dice at once because you got 2 4s on the top and then you have 2 5s.
Remember, is
Because you're fighting a fort. Yep.
well, yeah.
So you could roll for the 2 armors and then the 2 infantries if you wanted to, instead of rolling separately. It's up to you.
It's personal preference.
Yeah,
my
preference.
brain can't compute all of that.
Totally fine. I understand.
Alright, that's a miss. Alright, the next
The
one.
lightning or light.
Yeah, the lit. Nope. The infantry. Nope.
What's going on with these Germans? Hey, a hit.
Alright,
the
so one hit.
Slav. Nope.
Oh,
One.
almost.
And then
Now
this
here, yeah, that's
tank.
1 hit. Oh.
wow.
Oh, that sucked.
Oh.
Okay.
Oh. Fuhrer's kind of mad at you.
Yeah, well, he's the one that rolled
Okay.
the dice.
That's
Let
right.
me do my rolls. First of all, infantry on 4+.
Oh,
Hit.
hit. So we got to draw no matter what.
5, 6. Nothing.
Nothing.
Fort.
Oh, so 2 hits.
And the last roll.
3 hits. Oof, 3 to 1.
Wow.
That was brutal.
Brave guys.
So that would have been also the point, because you did have some losses in your forces there. You could have considered doing recovery at first with like one of them or something, and then attacked with the others. So, but you need to take 3 hits, and they have to be to your primaries first, before you can do it to your secondaries or supports.
Alright, so I got
You're going to lose 1 no matter what, even if you flip the other 2.
Right. just flip
Yep. They're all disorganized and
I
whatnot.
take it as a success. even if Katowice will finally fall.
So you only have to move one of the infantry out of there. You don't need to move both of the infantry because you got rid of one of your infantry. So there you go. And then you can stack back up. And then your support's just going to go back down to Krakow. So you're pecking away at him, just not very quickly, and he's doing some damage to you. So,
Done a little better on them, but that's
yep. So let's go ahead and draw another chit, I guess. That's beautiful.
Okay.
I like that.
I do it.
I'm enjoying this
And,
this play today.
Yeah, yeah.
North, finally.
Oh, the North.
Ah,
So this is going to be interesting to see whether he tries to go into East Prussia or not. He can at this point, or does he
What frame of
concentrate,
mind
or what does he
is he in?
concentrate his forces back? You know, what's he want to do?
are you offensive minded or defensive minded?
Cavalry. South. Oh, that I need. And I will do recovery. Flip. So I recover army Krakow. And
I'll just bring it over
Okay.
here.
Yeah.
This way
and
now.
those okay. Those guys will stay here. I would rather not do anything more. Because there is no siege. If there would be a siege, I could fire with a fort, but that's not the case. Okay, my airplanes. Now sabotage. I think we didn't have it yet. That actually takes -1 to enemy movement, so to Germans, yeah.
Nope, there it
Okay.
is. So you're gonna have to let him know. Do you want to sabotage him?
Yes, because there will be no other option, yeah,
Yep.
to do it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's the only other
Yep.
activation Chester has.
So I haven't told this to Dave yet, but I'll tell all of you. So I picked up a bunch of games yesterday from a couple different people, and a bunch of role-playing games as well. And I picked up an old D&D player's handbook, and it was an old one. And I'm looking at it, and it was one of these situations whereby when I open the book up, if there is one line on the title page, then it's worth $30. If there's nothing on the title page, then it's worth $600. So it was literally like cracking that book on, oh, please, 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 please. No, $30. It was very disappointing.
I find it very difficult to attack in the north, to be quite honest, with the German army. I don't know why, but it's really difficult.
Yeah, they have
lot
a
of
harder.
guys.
Yeah, and it's not a lot of room up there to.
And that infantry in Gdynia could be bring up and prepared for the next turn attack, yeah, most probably, because the attack with the forces now it would be probably suicidal. Yeah.
See, I'd be tempted. You know, I mean, historically they did go down through there, through the Polish corridor. You know, in this particular instance, I would be tempted to not do a whole lot with the north, and try to get that Katowice and then up and through Lodz and then maybe over through Lublin. I mean, sorry, not Lublin, but
Yes.
like kind of that weaker south, because I think if he could get enough of those, then you'll have enough that the Soviets will come in, and then the
And
Soviets can get the last
over. Yeah.
3 or 4. Trying to get through down into the Polish corridor, I mean, you can try it. It's just, it's tough.
What I really like, Ryan, in your game, guys, Dave, that you really depicted this war as it was. If you look at the amount of soldiers on Russian side, on Soviet side, that's equal to Germans.
Yep.
It was really huge army which entered on the 17th of September.
Yeah, that by that point, there's there's not a whole lot of hope.
Exactly.
If you can keep, if you can keep the Soviets out of the game, then you have hope. And that's hard. You have to do a little bit of offensive like you're doing, and a little bit of pulling back and defensive, and choosing your battles carefully. It's a very different strategy in this one than the Belgium game.
But I think this game demonstrates when we did Brave Little Belgium, the idea behind that was to show that traditionally, when you read histories of World War I, you might get a few lines about the Germans going into Belgium, and it pretty much history makes it look like it was just a walkover, a cakewalk, and in pure military terms, it was. Certainly stopped the Germans, but they didn't just roll over and let the Germans go through either. And I think that's what we try to do here with Poles in this game. Again, most people when they play, World War II, particularly strategy games, it's the whole war. It's like Poland. Let's get that over with because it's just a one-turn battle. Depending on the scale of the game. It really wasn't that way. There was a lot of heroic, staunch defense for the Polish army and air force, and I think these games, so far the two that we've brought out, kind of show people that they're one-sided to a point, but they also show that the countries that were attacked didn't just fold up.
Surrender. Yeah.
Surrender.
I really
Right.
appreciate
You
it.
look at the north, it just seems like the Germans need to roll better than what I just did at the south. Really kind of.
Well, and I think that's also the important thing is it does show you that there is some, it's not just like, oh, I moved a few forces and I've won the game. It's like, no, this, when the Germans did this, they didn't know how Blitzkrieg was going to turn out, and it very well couldn't have turned out a different way. Was it likely? Probably not, but
It's
All right,
still
well, I
fun.
moved my guys. Oh yeah, this is a lot of fun actually. So yeah, but I moved my guys. I'm not gonna.
Okay. So I should probably. Do you want to use your recover? You can recover some of your armies now.
yeah, since you've already activated South, Jester, you can head.
You just can't move the guy you are recovering, but I think it's still worth, to sleep.
Get that step back.
And then what we gotta pull there.
So yeah, you both now have used your recovery option.
Yep.
This turn.
And let me move further. Okay. Both guys actually can also take one movement from me. Or it can attack back against Fort, Luftwaffe. Okay, and turn. And turn. Sztuka. Okay. Blitzkrieg. And turn. So actually my central army was not drawn this turn.
Okay, I'll clean up the chits up here. Get them back in.
Yeah, it was real brief, real quick, funny story. She was my girlfriend then, now my wife. The two of us visited Belgium while we were in college in 1993, and we were there for 2 weeks, and we were visiting friends who were there for the semester in our school. And I just was struck at all of the World War I monuments that they had there. And of course, I was a fan of World War I. And I got this idea. I was like, wow, this would make a great game just to focus on Belgium and World War I. And that was in 1993. And I thought about it, and then I kind of never thought about it again. And then flash forward to, I guess it was, when did Ryan and I we kind of drifted apart from grade school till about, I think it was like 2008, 2009, we got hooked back together again on Facebook. and I guess it was maybe about what, Ryan, like 5 or 6 years ago. I mentioned to Ryan this idea of a game I had, and I was like, yeah, I had this idea in my head. Well, Ryan whips up this whole playtest and he's kit, and he's like, well, here, how about this? What do you think? We could do this and try this. So I always joke it took 25 years to get Brave Little Belgium. Concept to the if it weren't for Ryan, that game would have never seen the light of day. And I will be honest, I was also dubious about this. I was dubious about this game because I didn't know that people would have a good reception to the idea of the Polish campaign in World War II. But in playing this, I realized, there's a lot of meat here. There's a lot of fun stuff. So I give Ryan a lot of the design credit. I kind of he is definitely the mastermind, and I'm kind of like the I'm like his editor. I'm like, okay, well, we've got this. How about we try this? Or so it's
And
that's how,
and I would say I was lost though with Belgium because, I had done a map, I had done the counters, and the counters had nothing on them other than pictures of some cavalry.
Concept, right?
And I said to Dave, Dave, I said, I don't know what to do next, so how about I give it to you and you figure out the rest? And that sat for quite a while, and then I finally looked at it and I got to come up with something. So I said, I don't know what I'm doing to do here. Let's put some numbers on these. Let's put some movement on these. Let's put some die rolls on these. Okay, got something. Dave, what do you think? And then that's how it came about. So, and similar. Well, I mean, once I had Belgium, coming up with this was easier. Although it was a little more difficult because of the nature of the armies. Because that game, Belgium broke down very naturally into the corps. Whereas this game, I had to kind of do some little different things with the infantry and the panzers and stuff like that, and so it's a little bit of a mishmash of unit sizes here. So that.
Although I think we did I'm patting myself in the back, but I'm patting Ryan on the back too. I think we did a pretty good job of transferring over the ideas that we came up with in Brave Little to World War II to this game.
Yeah, let's get fighting. Let's go. Let's fight. We're ready.
I was pretty happy. Yeah.
So I have good news for you, Germany. It is turn 3, and you have 3 victory points. So the Allies are not going to get involved. You will not have any deductions in rolls. So that's really good.
Yep.
And you're only 3 victory points away from getting the Soviets involved.
And that's what's kind of a headache for me.
Yes, that's going to be a big headache for him. So, and it's right now it's 3:20, so we still have a little bit more time, and we can continue playing.
Yeah, let's see.
Okay. Michael, you can do the thing.
Okay. Oh, fantastic. I'm starting with Blitzkrieg and turn.
He's like, just give me a bunch of end turns.
Oh, no.
This is not going well for him so far. Oh, that's not bad.
Okay, not so bad.
Okay.
Okay.
You recovered.
Yeah,
there you go. You recovered, Michael. That was looking pretty pitiful at first.
Pretty good defensive moves. So Germans have their work.
I do now. Let me see. I have 1 infantry here and 1 drones here. I have those guys here. I need to beef up Toro. Okay. Because there is a huge part for this. And Vyshkov will go to Modlin. That's fine.
Yeah, just watch your stacking. But other than that,
Yeah, I'm just checking. This. No, too much. Okay, again too much. So I will leave 2 infantries here. I will move that guy here. That's okay because Modlin went to turn from Modlin, and I will leave those guys here. 2 units here, 2 units here, +4, and 2 units here. Fine. Thanks for reminding me about stacking. Okay, let me draw further. This guy goes to here. Army North.
Come on, Army North. Let's see what you can come up with.
Easier said than done.
So, Chester, do you go to any other conventions when we can live?
No, I mean I haven't,
Mm-hmm.
and just because things don't time out right, or the finance is hitting
I got you. I got you.
So this is actually kind of neat.
Yeah.
Play some games on
Yeah, you know, I hope this is something that definitely sticks around because Brian and I can get to the WBC, which is in Western PA, but that's about it for us. Yeah.
Well,
I think if I were to go to one, that would be the one I'd go to, just because.
Oh, it's. I was going to say it's a fantastic convention. It's just absolutely wonderful.
I was gonna say Wood would be closer for you. Would Origins be closer, or
Yeah, Origins would be closer. Yeah.
that's what I thought.
Yeah, 'cause that's Ohio, right?
That's what I figured. Or
For me,
or
the online version is the only option. So
You-
I'm really glad we have this.
Do they? I was going to say,
You-
Michael.
you
do
can
you,
go.
Do they have any kind of conventions?
Yeah,
Physical.
we have in Poland. Yeah, a couple of them. Yeah.
how far is Essen for you?
Not so far. I
Mm.
was there once, like 2 years ago. It was fantastic, simply fantastic experience. 4 days, board games everywhere. It was like tens of thousands of people there. You know.
Yeah, that's the one I would love to go to sometime because I hear it's very family oriented too.
It is, but you have also sections for wargamers. It's split, you know, in RPG, Euro games, war
Yep.
games,
Yep.
everything.
Good mix.
You can,
Good mix.
I mean, I'm going to have to eventually get out to Thompson World, and Harold Buchanan will kill me if I don't eventually get out to San Diego for his convention. We were lucky enough that it was virtual this year, so we demoed Brave Little Belgium several times for that.
I wanted to do that one, but I didn't flip the switch quick enough.
Oh, okay, it was a good one. It was really good. We had a real good time. So.
It's fun.
But eventually it'll be nice to actually go out to San Diego and do that, you know. I don't know. Columbus, Ohio, San Diego, what do you prefer?
You're asking me?
Yeah, what do you think?
We could drive to Columbus. I mean,
Yeah.
to me, Columbus is not that far.
Well, we might have to
Yeah.
eventually go to Columbus. And then we have the other one nearby. We have the one down in Virginia. What's that one called?
It's one of,
What's it
Well,
called?
here,
you know
right?
what?
that's a very clever move. I just
was gonna
give it
say, that's totally.
Yeah, that's fine.
unexpected. Very nice. Yep.
Looks good to me.
Alright, so looks like we got a fight.
Yeah. Let's move them up so we can see them.
See, they're experts now, Dave. We don't have to do anything.
I know this is the fun part where I can just enjoy watching and I don't have to think about rules anymore, except for the little nuanced ones.
Yeah.
Then
Great.
I can
And who would be
use
support?
that guy for support,
Cool.
Okay.
and then I'll use my Stukas with this one, right?
Yeah, and I will use the train. So.
You
enough
like
for
those
everybody,
trains?
but those trains are great, you know.
Get around.
Take it around.
Okay, so the tanks will not have their benefit because it's formed, and we can start, yeah. So we can start rolling, yeah. Let's.
So I'll do the same thing I did before. Top.
Fine.
So we'll do the top.
Whatever I found with the dice rolling in this program, yeah, whatever works best for you.
Alright, and this.
Hit.
Hit.
Yep.
Second.
And then this infantry up here.
The support, right?
Ah,
Oh,
third hit.
3 hits.
Nice.
3 hits. Very good.
That's the German North we should see.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Okay. Starting top bottom, yeah. So infantry first. Ah, sorry. I clicked F, not R. Yeah, roll.
That's
Roll.
fine.
How much is it? 3. It's 3. So it's
I-
hit.
Yep.
Okay, now the second infantry. Hit. Fourth for the first time. No hit. And once again the fourth no hit. One hit. So
One
this
hit, huh?
time 1-3.
3 German hits, or 3 hits against the Polish, 1 hit against the Germans.
So Modlin is dead. And I will flip those guys. That was kind of good. You can stay now in Toruń to besiege, but yeah, you don't have.
What's this guy?
He was here.
That is the one thing, trying to remember where everyone was and when you're doing a support and
I think we need a. If there had been room for one more counter, maybe we should have had a support counter.
Well, there actually I'm actually doing the counters right now for the game, on my own version. There are actually 2 additional counters. So
It's like one counter that actually didn't have anything on.
yeah, there's 2 counters that don't have anything on them, so you could actually use one of those counters to
I'm
mark
thinking
things.
As you want, you can put them here. You can put them here, yeah, because they were in the field.
Oh, they
Or you
stay
can-
there.
Yeah, you can put them back also.
Yeah, it's when you win in a siege battle,
Stay put.
that's what that little box is for.
Okay, I see.
Yeah, I think that's the first time we've had that happen with you, because
Right,
he's
yeah.
beaten you, and so this is the first time you've been able to stay.
Successful siege.
Mm-hmm.
Or successful.
Okay, let me pull. Okay, Luftwaffe. And turn.
Oh, did you grab that?
So-
Yeah, you did. Train. Yep. Oh, Army Group South. All
Yep.
right.
He's like, that's not what I wanted to pull.
It had to happen someday.
I find it very interesting, Michael, because you did get to play our other game yesterday. So you get a real good comparison of this game to that game, the last one standing. You know,
Yes.
so I'd be curious to, at the end of all this, to see what you think. You know,
Sure. I will for sure share my thoughts. After yesterday game, my first thought is that the yesterday game is very suitable for solo mode. I can even
Oh, yeah.
design this idea for this, guys, if you would like to hear. But it's really suitable playing as human against the worms who are driven by AI.
yeah, you could. We don't normally do AI so much. You know, the Tom's not a big fan of AI of that sort. He prefers
I just
a
thought
two
it's
person or
suitable,
yeah. I mean, any of these games could be, you could theoretically in almost any of these games come up with some sort of AI, and as we go forward, and these games are very suitable for a Steam version or an app version as well. So
Yes. Yes.
that would be the point at which I would probably want to really think about that. But we have no plans on that at this point. It's just talking.
I'm content if
Out
the
of turn.
game's not if it's not purpose designed solitaire, to just kind of let a player figure out how they want to solitaire it.
Yep.
But I think we also try to make sure that the games are solitaire friendly.
Yeah,
So-
yeah, that's true.
Enough. Yeah, that's completely enough. And I can simply create another scenario for your game.
Yeah, that's true too.
Hey.
We do have some solo games that we are working on.
Yes.
Some solo war games, solo war games. So but those are purpose. Those are solitaire by purpose, purpose driven. They are ones that we designed to be solitaire.
But is the stacking hard or just at the end of the?
You can't what are you thinking? Tell me what you're thinking here.
Well, I want to get these stronger infantries here.
That's fine. You can pass through.
Pass through.
Yep.
Through, it's fine.
You can pass through. Yeah, you
Only
just
at
can't.
the end of-
Yeah, you can't. Yep,
Right.
that's fine. That's perfect.
And
The
then
tanks are really old. Yeah, no. Okay.
Now you could also recover some of those if you wanted to.
right.
At least one of them.
So, yeah, I think I want to
Okay.
recover.
Chester, plan your moves. I will be back in 2 minutes.
You recovered that one? Okay, that's perfect. So I'm just going to drag your recovery over to just mark that you did recover that one.
Great, thanks. And then, so that can move this armor in here.
Now you just can't move the one you recovered. That's the only
Right.
that's the only issue.
And then where can I support from?
Well, you can
Either
still
here or
well you can support from you're bringing in your primary from where?
here.
You brought your primary.
Yeah,
What-
from here.
What?
These two places.
Okay.
So basically, your support would have to be. I would say it would have to be.
Well, what do you have? What do you have here right now? You have 2 infantry and an armor. Is that all you have?
Yeah.
Okay. So
Pretty cool.
what do you want to bring in?
Well, I just want to get as max as
Mhm.
I can. So
You're
I guess
attacking
bring in
from.
the,
Well, you can bring in either another unique unit or you can bring in because you only have 1 infantry in here, right?
I thought I had two. No, I got 2 in there.
You do.
It's 2 infantry and a panzer, so he could technically bring in a light.
You could bring in that light armor.
Yep. Okay.
That works. Are all those coming across this way? They're coming from here.
Yeah, with the the infantry went here.
Okay.
The 1 armor
Went from here.
here to here,
Okay.
and then this guy
What was
came
that?
from here.
So you have a choice. If you hit tab when you're hovering over, it puts a little arrow.
Oh.
Yeah, you have a choice.
Okay.
I mean, you could just go with what you have here, okay, and that would just be 1 primary attack, okay, or you could purposely take additional stuff from here, right, and then call one of them primary, and then probably the armor from here being the supporting or something. You know what I'm saying? You're just gonna separate because the primary and supporting have to come from 2 different locations. So if
Oh,
you
I
are
see.
going to pull, I mean, from 2 different routes. So if you are going to overstack, then you're gonna have to pick one to be the primary across one route, and then one to be secondary across the other route.
The best way to kind of to give it like is like the hammer and anvil theory. Hammer is your primary, so you want that to be your more forceful. Your support is the anvil, which is basically I'm adding this to the attack to kind of guarantee that I've got as maximum damage I can get.
And that's the title of our next game, Hammer and Anvil. No,
Hammer and anvil.
no, it's not.
Arm and hammer. Yeah.
Ha-
Game of bacon.
Hammer and sickle. No, that's something different.
All right. So well, anyway, I guess I'll just go with these guys here.
Okay, I'm already
Okay,
back.
so
let's
that's
see.
so we're just gonna have one a primary battle is what we're gonna have, and that's fine. That is perfectly legit.
Okay,
And
I
there's
will.
I was going to say, is there any support units or markers that are available?
Well, I'm sure he has armored trains. No, he doesn't. He's got the
No, I
planes.
I have planes. I will use planes. Yes.
I thought you always had armored trains. It seemed like every battle you brought out those armored trains. I felt like you were hiding that shit someplace so that it always appeared.
I said those trains move pretty fast. They get around Poland, lickety split.
Mm.
And obviously, we can't use Blitzkrieg here because of the fort. So.
Exactly. Okay, Chester, so go on with your rolls, and then I will do mine.
All right. So I'll go left to right, and then down.
Certainly.
Hit.
Hit.
You need 3. Hit.
Oh,
That's 2. He needs 1 more.
they are.
Boom. They're done. Congratulations.
Very nice rolling, Chester.
Yep. He gets a counterattack, but still, you did very well.
Yeah, see what Michael
It's
does.
too late.
Good choices.
Hit.
Miss. Oh, hit. That's right.
That's 1 hit.
Miss.
No.
That's a miss.
And a hit. 2 hits.
So 2 hits.
So it was a pretty brutal win, but still, you did
Okay.
win. That was a really critical one to get.
Right, you needed that for the victory point and to basically clear the path.
Nice.
Yeah,
Nice.
I've been really enjoying this southern battles today. It's cool. Ooh, only one more needed. Oof. Where is he going to go to get that last one?
Let me draw, probably.
Oh, I just
Oh,
put it back in
well,
by
okay.
accident. I apologize. I put the PZ11s back in by accident.
Okay.
So when you
I
draw
took them back.
those, put them
Okay,
over
just
there.
leave
Yep,
them.
there they are.
Yep.
Sorry about
And,
that. That was my mistake.
I would like to see my armies finally. Oh, sabotage. Too late.
Yeah, you haven't pulled two. Oh, there they are.
Oh,
Air south.
But there's not a lot left in the south. You got the Carpathian, and that's about it, right?
and I will leave them there. Yeah, that's a good spot. That's a good
Well,
spot.
yeah.
Oh, there you go.
Central.
There you go.
Now, let me see what do I have. Luftwaffes. Blitzkrieg, 2 attacks. You probably use Luftwaffe, Chester, yeah? So I have reduced movement.
Yep.
Okay. -1 to my moves. That seems just right.
Do you stay in Częstochowa or?
Częstochowa? No, I will.
I went out on a limb and it totally fell off.
Probably the most difficult, no, there's one more. Brest-Litewski. Brest-Litowski. Yeah, that's the
Brian went with the Polish spelling, and I credited because obviously it's the more common Brest Litowski. Everybody knows that one. But
exactly.
Oh,
was
we
like, wow.
we would have gotten hit if we didn't go with the Polish spelling. We already got hit because
know.
we couldn't include some of the Polish letters.
Yeah.
So, we made sure to include whatever we best could of the Polish.
In my first impressions of the game, I'm really underlining that you went very far with the accuracy of the map, of the letters. Even the graphics used and the font is fantastic.
Thank you.
It's...
Well, it's interesting because we've had a little bit of mixed reviews as regards the map itself. Some people like the real minimalist aspect of it, and some people thought, we actually had a designer asked to create a variant map of this game. And he's a designer that has done work for Tom and Mary before. So I said, hey, go ahead, ask him. I mean, all they could say is, we would rather you not do it, or whatever. So he is asking them about doing a variant map. I don't know where he is at this point on it. I'm gonna have to ask him where he stands at this point. So there may be at some point a slight variant map. I mean, all the cities and all will be the same. It's just different lettering, different coloring, and stuff like that. He wanted.
I have to disclose that at first the map, I wasn't thrilled with it specifically because I didn't like the fact that Poland was. It looks like to me red, because to me that made me for some reason just think of the Soviet Union, and I'm like, well, that's it just brought up the wrong connotation. But it's grown on me, and now
But the
that
Polish are red too.
It's fine. It's fine. It's
and-
white red also. So
Yeah.
and that's as time has gone on, I've just kind of gotten over it. But my first reaction is that, oh man, that's way too red. But
See, I had a slightly different impression when I first saw that color. It reminded me of the old Avalon Hill counters.
that's well, in the industry it would be called magenta, but yeah, pink. Right.
Yeah.
okay. It really looks like 1930s,
Yep.
Yeah.
So,
I definitely agree. I do like the look, the fonts and everything. So
it will be end turn, of course.
I think it'd be interesting to see what the other designer comes up with. Just how to,
I'm always.
we're just gonna put it on BGG, and if someone wants to print it, they can. It's not going to be something that will be available or anything.
Ryan, can you help with the cleanup? I think we finished the turn.
Oh, you did. I
because
was laying back. I'm sitting here punching the Stilicho game and cleaning up my Hollenspiel stuff.
Stilicho is nice.
I was doing well. Okay, so we're on turn 4. So
I'm
one
glad
more.
you're paying attention.
Oh yeah, I'm playing. Yeah. I'm enjoying myself. This is great. I get to kind of watch a game go, and
You did the one yesterday, so it's only fair that I moderate this one.
Okay,
don't know
Chester, would
how
you
well
like to roll the cheese or shall I do it? I don't
I
mind.
think I shuffled, so they should be good to go.
Okay, South Army Group. So, not much. I will not do anything, unfortunately.
Yeah, there's
Go
not a
on.
lot at that point with the Southern, with the Polish, unfortunately.
Actually, that's what happened also yesterday in our game. That once you destroy most of the forces, in particular army, the game really speeds up. Yeah.
It will speed up. That is true.
I
Oh,
wish I could recover first, but no, it's not possible. Let's see what's here. Let me just put them here. No. That's that disastrous attack where you won 3-1. Yeah.
Alright, so. This guy here, right?
Hmm?
And then let's move this stronger. Alright, so yeah, I think I'm all set up there.
Mhm. And who is supporting the AGN here in Bydgoszcz? I mean here, or
Yeah, this guy will
okay. So no events this time.
just roll him.
Yep, go on.
Alright, so I'll go top to bottom and then
Left to right. Let's go.
Let's see the first one.
Ah,
Hmm.
One,
good beginning.
miss. Miss. Miss.
Oof.
One
Miss,
hit.
miss, miss.
Started out well, and
Yep.
Okay, let's start just like you did. Hit. Nothing. Nothing. 1-1. That goes down. One second. Let me just think for a moment. If I flip a fort and leave those guys here, I can recover them later on. Yes, even if they are besieged. Guys.
You can recover. You can recover a unit at a besieged fort. You can't recover
Okay.
a fort.
Yeah. I can.
Mm.
Okay, but I think I the fort will shoot at the besieging force, that's for sure. I am also considering one more crazy action.
Looking forward to it.
Oh yes, I will do it.
You're gonna try to take that back.
Uh-huh,
Okay.
definitely. And I have 2 events, yes, so I can use only the planes will go here. I should probably say it battle by battle, but that doesn't matter. Just to speed up the things. Okay, so my fort will fire at the besieging forces, and I understand there is no battle back, so just
What does he
Wow.
have event-wise?
is the Blitzkrieg automatic advance? No, there is no this event which allows
Does
to
he
battle back on fort.
Does he have Luftwaffe?
No.
Okay. He would need Luftwaffe to battle back on that fire. So he basically gets to
Okay.
take a pot shot at you with his guns.
5+ rolling. No, nothing. But I tried. Now this is much more interesting.
Mm.
Let me put all those guys here. Come back.
Did
My
you
favorite thing is-
Hey Michael, was that fort a 1-strength fort?
Excuse me, could you repeat?
The fort you just fired with, was that a 1-strength fort?
Yes, 1 struck. He actually was hit earlier on.
He was hit earlier on, and then you brought that that other unit in there to reinforce.
I actually had this. I took
Recovered.
like 2 hits
Yep.
and I recovered him.
Gotcha.
I recovered him.
But that unit that's there right now, that infantry, that was not
Yes.
there at that point that it got
Yes.
hit.
Yes,
Okay.
yes, it didn't move after recover. No.
No. What I'm saying is that infantry that was that there when the fort took the hit?
Yes.
Yeah.
And I could not take a hit in fort when I have infantry there.
Yeah,
Correct.
that would be right. So
Actually,
you have to take
infantry
you have to take all your hits to your units before you can take
Yeah.
a hit
so
to.
fort is a full strength. The infantry is dead.
Yeah, that
that's
infantry would
no
be
way.
dead.
So I have 1 more roll, but the infantry will be dead, which is
Sorry about
Worse.
that. I just saw that.
yeah. Good. So at 1 hit, but that's all. Nothing more.
And you didn't use your recovery, by the way, then.
But I don't think I have any other option. Still,
You may not. That may be true.
fine. Good. It's very good that you catch it. Playing too fast.
Well, no, it's
Okay.
also the again, I'm looking at it from a big distance because I'm keeping it for the people to be able to watch on YouTube. And so sometimes it's a little hard for me to see everything that's going on. I took off my glasses so I could peer, but I'm getting old.
Okay. So we both use events. Let me roll first for my cavalry. 4+, yes. Rolling. And that's a hit. Important one. And now let me roll for my infantry. That's not a hit. It's a pity, so you can now fire back at me.
That'll be a 5 or a 6.
Yep.
Ooh,
Okay.
5, yeah.
And now the question,
Yep.
can the army retreat into the direction from which I approached? I don't remember the rules. Or has it go to Vilna? The tanks.
You were the attacker. You got to retreat
Yeah,
back to where you came from.
But the defender. Can defender retreat from Grodno to Białystok, from which I came? Or just
He needs to retreat. Yeah, that's a little tricky there. You're right about that because he would need to retreat back towards Germany. So if he was to retreat up towards Vilna, that would not be going back towards Germany.
Mhm.
So then he would have to then retreat down and then
Here.
down
Okay.
to there,
Okay.
But you have. Do you have any forces there?
I came from there, but I don't have
Yeah.
forces.
Let me check that. Let me check that real quickly.
That's interesting.
Are we saying? I'm sorry. Are we saying that it would be okay for him to retreat north to Vilna?
We just don't know which.
Yeah, that's a real edge case. So let me just check that real quickly.
Okay.
I think that would be okay in this case. I don't see
In the
it.
meantime, we can draw further cheats, not to.
Yeah,
And we
absolutely.
can. I think for this it would be better to
See-
stock, but
See, what would happen in that case is because he's retreating back to the box from which you launched the attack. See, he needs to try to avoid to do that. If he does that, he'd have to take a hit, and so by taking a hit, he would be removed. You basically cut off his supply, and so this game really doesn't have a lot of supply rules. But you can't get pulled out like that and then allow someone to get in like that, and because that will then possibly kill you, which is indeed what happened here. So,
okay.
I mean, yeah, I mean, if he had been a 2 strength, he could have tried to retreat further, but the next retreat would have been into he could have, if he was 2 strength, he could have gone back into Lotson and he would have been a half strength then at Lotson. But because he was only reduced at that point, he has to take a hit, and then therefore he would be destroyed.
Okay.
So,
I'm
It's a
also there.
situation that doesn't come up too often, so yeah, that's kind of a tricky one.
yeah, a lot of people critique and say, well, you don't have any supply rules. And I say, well, that's true, I don't. And I didn't want to put any supply rules into this particular game. But
That's kind of a supply issue.
that's a supply type issue type question. I mean, if you get surrounded
That's
like
right,
that
so-
and you're trying to get back out, you're going to get cut off and you're going to take some hits. So,
Okay.
so
the risk/reward for trying what Chester did by
exactly.
advancing it. in
Exactly.
Space,
Which was good move because you want to get the Russians, yeah.
Right.
And
But now he's still 2 points away from that. You know.
we finish the turn 4.
Oh, is it my time to clean up?
Yep, and actually I should have my
Oh,
army.
now wait a minute.
No,
did,
he-
Chester get
No.
to move south?
No, he
Oh,
did
yeah,
not.
the-
Here it is, right
yes,
there.
Yes.
Wait a minute.
So he needs to decide whether he wants to roll on that Blitzkrieg track again.
Oh yeah.
I think.
Okay.
Definitely.
Okay, go ahead and
At
roll.
this point,
One
like I
die.
said, you haven't even touched it, so
No.
there's nothing to be lost by trying.
And we purposely did that in this game in that, you only have 2 things that you're pulling, and you're fine. You're fine. And there's 4 end of turn, so the likelihood of rolling a lot on the Blitzkrieg track is very slim. Whereas in Belgium, the likelihood of rolling on the atrocity track is much more common. And that really
Yeah.
did make sense for both games. And of course, in the new one, Last One Standing, we don't have an atrocity or Blitzkrieg track. Instead, we have that destruction track with the nukes and the tremors.
Oh yes, I love it.
World.
It's really, of whether you destroy the world or not.
I was hoping people would like that little aspect, and I have to say that
But
it does owe a little bit to Tai Bamba, because he had a similar kind of mechanism in that. Gosh, Dave, what's the name of that game that we played?
Triumph of the Will.
Is it Triumph of the Will? And he had a similar mechanism in that. The more nukes you use, the more likely that you're going to destroy the world and end the game. So it's borrowed a little bit, but it worked well for that game.
Chester, you can also move those guys here in Germany, yeah, forward.
Oh yeah.
I'd like to
Move
give
that.
credit where credit is due.
That is a fun little game. We had a blast with that.
It's not a real popular game, unfortunately, but it was
But
it was very fun.
We had a lot of fun with it. We had a lot of fun.
It's risk Axis and allies ish like complexity level.
It's very,
Very
very low
simple.
level, but it's fun, and that's what I enjoy about it. You and I were able to play it in an evening,
Mhm.
and I've always been a big fan of Tai Bamba, so
Mhm.
I'm
Okay.
probably partial. So okay, so
So both guys are supporting, yes?
Oh crap! I grabbed the. I'm sorry. I grabbed these. Were these guys here? I remember.
There was nobody in Częstochowa.
yeah, I think they came from.
Yeah, I
Katowice.
moved them from here to here.
I think the only support possible was from those tanks. From those tanks here. And those in Łódź now were in Katowice. So those guys were in Katowice and could reach the Łódź, and the only one supporting would be the tanks, if I remember correctly.
I think that's yeah.
Yeah, I just started grabbing stuff,
I mean, if need be, we can go backwards, but
that's all right. So this is the tank you said was the support.
I think yes, they have 4 move and they were in like Gleiby, something like this, yeah. I don't remember exactly where the rest was, but for sure here, yeah, you can put them here. Which is
Right.
still very daunting. Yeah. My best infantry and my best cavalry and my armored train. What better could I hope for? Good rolls, yeah, okay. Okay, Chester.
All right, I'll do this.
Yes.
So top down. So you start with this
Fine.
dude.
Let's see. No.
This. Nope.
No.
This
2 dice.
Two.
Yeah, we have 2 dice. One hit.
1 hit.
Do that again.
One hit. 2 hits.
2 hits total. Yep.
Actually, I should roll for my cavalry first,
Oh, right.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's right.
but that doesn't matter. Yeah. Let me roll for 2 infantries first. 2 dice, each 3+. 2 hits, and for cavalry 4+. So 2 hits against 2 hits.
Draw.
Yep. Let me. And not this. Flip. It's a very bloody war.
it is a bit bloody. That is true. So, Dave, it's 2. Do you need to leave, or?
Yeah, probably in the next like 5 minutes. So.
I also would need to leave, yeah.
Yeah, I gotta wrap up. I gotta get my son.
So it's interesting because I don't know how this is going to go. I feel like saying that the Germans will, eventually be able to get a couple more victory points and bring the Soviets in, but I'm really feeling like it's going to take a couple more turns to do. So, I'm feeling like this is not going to be a 12-point kind of win. It's going to be a 9-point, and I think it's going to be a 9-point, maybe like literally like the 8th turn or something. If the Germans are going to pull out and win this, it's going to be by the 8th turn. I don't know if it's going to be sooner than that. It might be. I mean, once the Soviets come in, but
Yeah.
but I don't think
I
that
think
the Soviets will not come in until what? They're not going to come in immediately on the next turn.
I think this game would probably go very close to the end. Who would win?
Yeah, I'm not sure if it's going to
not
quite go to the draw, but it's definitely going to go at least till 8. It's just
Very
there's kind of been a back and forth, and he and you, Michael, have not yet even tried to take over any of those forts up in East Prussia, which are still kind of wide open.
Now I think I would go for this once this tank here is destroyed, because I have enough forces, yeah.
Yeah, so that would also be taking away some victory points from him. So that's why I'm thinking it's going to be a little bit of a drawn out. I just don't think the Soviets are going to come in until maybe the 6th or 7th turn, and then they'll start piling up some points at that point. But even then, the Soviets are only going to be able to take, they're still going to have to battle for those victory cities in a couple places. They just happen to have a lot of forces to do so. So
that's why it's such a great game. Go away.
So I'm glad you guys got to play and enjoy, and I know both of you have the game at home. So, and this TTS is available, and Vassal module is available, and Michael's scenarios are available for the Vassal module as well. So, thank you guys. I appreciate it.
Thank you
Yeah,
very
thank you very much. So much. Thank you.
Dave, can you hold on for 1 second? And
Sure.
everybody else, thank you. And I'm going to end the stream.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye. Take care.
Bye.